By rule of law, the 6 high priests of the land have declared that being gay is now illegal. If you can believe such a thing. That's right, folks. It's over. And by it, I mean being gay. Supreme Court says First Amendment entitles web designer to refuse same-sex wedding work. Now, I can't believe I wasn't streaming for this. Sorry, news happens while I'm away. Now, I have seen a lot of people misrepresent this case on both sides, and I wanted to talk about what exactly it means, okay? So, I want to be clear right off the bat that this case is disgusting, and it is a circus over there in the Supreme Court. However, it is not businesses can now legally discriminate against people based on them being gay. That's how it's being reported. That's not actually accurate. The actual content of the ruling, which was still ridiculous, and I'll get to it, is that a person's political, religious, whatever beliefs entitle them to not use their platform to do work broadcasting a creative message associated with political messaging that has to do with LGBT rights or gay people or whatever else. So it's not about businesses can kick you out if you're gay. It's that businesses can choose to not, use their creative services to make a pro-gay banner. Now, the weird thing is, as I understood it, this legal right already existed. See, a business doesn't have to say, publish banners for the Westboro Baptist Church if they don't want to, God hates F slurs or whatever. They don't have to do that. I was under the impression that businesses kind of already had a right to not provide service for any reason of their choosing. Now, businesses don't have a right to discriminate against you if you're a member of a protected class for that reason. So a business can't kick you out because you're gay, or because you're straight, or because you're black or white or whatever else. But a business can kick you out, say, if you have a shirt with white supremacist messaging. That's allowed. If you have a t-shirt that says, white power or whatever, I'm pretty sure Starbucks can kick you out for that, which logically follows, then, that they could kick you out for wearing, a pro-LGBT shirt. Now, that would be shitty. I wouldn't agree with that. But technically, under the eyes of the law, those would fall under the same basic purview. That is to say, being white and being gay are both protected classes. But if a pro-white shirt is something that you can target and discriminate against, then technically a pro-gay shirt is something you can as well. So I was under the impression this was a pre-existing legal right. However, the Supreme Court, in their infinite wisdom, decided to reaffirm this right in a way to kind of we're watching you, gay people. Hey, don't be too comfortable. We will look for any excuse to reaffirm legal rights to discriminate against you. Just you watch with this ruling. Now, the thing that makes this case so ridiculous is that I actually didn't know that you could bring cases to the Supreme Court under this pretext, okay? No damages existed in the case that was brought to the Supreme Court. The group that filed the lawsuit did so as a hypothetical. 303 Creative, I believe is their name, basically said, hey, we don't like this Colorado anti-discrimination law. So what if hypothetically, some scenario happened and we didn't like it? And that went to the Supreme Court. There is no defendant. Not really. I didn't know this was possible. I legitimately did not know that this was a thing that you could do. There was no case. There were no damages. There was no incident this lawsuit centered around. It was literally to the Supreme Court, a private company going, okay, but hypothetically, what if we do, I don't know, what hypothetically though, what if apparently that's legal? There are people in chat saying right now that that actually isn't legal and the Supreme Court shouldn't have done that. That was my impression too. I was always under the impression that in order for you to file a lawsuit, and certainly for it to be taken seriously, there has to be damages. Don't really like the precedent being set that all you have to do to overturn anti-discrimination legislation is for a reactionary company to go, but hypothetically, you know. I don't know if I care for that. Doesn't seem cool to me. What's also funny is that apparently one of the documents that was put forward by the prosecution in the legal case was fake. There was no effort made to determine the veracity of a example document provided by 303 Creative, in which they cited a previous example of an interaction with like a pro-gay customer as a potential example of like, well, here's why this discrimination law shouldn't exist, or this anti-discrimination law shouldn't exist. But it turns out apparently that the document didn't conform to like existing records for who they'd actually served in their business. So it's possible that the document was just faked. So we have a lawsuit based on a hypothetical supported by, it seems like, fake documents, making it all the way up to the Supreme Court in order to affirm an anti-LGBT message that kind of sort of falls within the existing legal limits of what you can and can't discriminate against. This is nothing more than like any excuse. You know what I mean? Like, this would be the equivalent of like of you having like a shitty teacher who has it out for you, and you're not chewing gum, and they like smack their ruler on your desk and go like, "Hey, just a reminder, you can't chew gum." And you're like, "Well, I wasn't." And say, "Okay, yeah, but what if somebody said you was?" I don't know what if, and they're already walking away. Like, literally, that's the level of this is literally like mob intimidation tactics on a judicial level. And I'm not joking when I say that. Like, I hope everyone understands how insane this is. It is the procedural weight of the court system being used to that's a nice, like, you know, set of legal protections you have there. Would be a shame if something happened to it, to the gay community, you know? Genuinely disgusting. However, not technically businesses can discriminate against you for being gay now. Again, I don't even know to what extent. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, you could already, I'm pretty sure that, like, at least in line with what we understand to be, like, federal law, the guidelines for what you can and can't discriminate against already included like messaging associated with protected classes, if not protected classes themselves. The entire company was fake. Their website was made one day before the filing. Is that true? 303 Creative creation date. Yeah, when they filed, they'd never made a site. So it's a fake company and a fake case and a fake... okay. Let me see. Hold on. Is that... it was really made like right before? Yes? Oh, man. Hold on. When Smith's suit was filed at the federal district court in 2016, she had not begun designing websites. Oh my God! When she filed the case, she had never done any work. It was all fake. A Supreme Court case on anti-discrimination law for creative messaging on sandwich shop signs when you've never made a sandwich shop before or had any customer. Nor had she received any requests to design a wedding website for a same-sex couple. In 2017, her lawyers, ADF, filed an affidavit from Smith stating she had received such a request several days after the initial filing and appended a copy of the request. Smith never responded to the request and has stated she feared she would violate Colorado's law if she were to do so. However, the name, email, and phone number on the online form belonged to a man who has long been married to a woman and who stated he never submitted such a request. Okay, yeah. So they literally, so they lied. So yeah, so literally, no, there is no defendant. There was no company. There was no business. And then the document made to legitimize the case was faked and like blatantly faked. And then this was done in 2016, and then 7 years later, the high priests of the land would go like, oh yeah, you have an excellent point. That's totally right. You're so smart. You're right, it is this meme. What kind of person spends time, money, and effort to do this? Well, they have to hate you and want you dead. That's the main thing. The kind of person who would do this is the kind of person who hates you and wants you dead. Is there no government agency that can look into this? Are the grand wizards just invulnerable? They're invulnerable. There are no checks and balances on the Supreme Court. The ability to expand the court is not a check and balance on the Supreme Court. There just isn't. That system does not exist. This isn't the first case of this court taking a case without standing. The case that stopped Biden's student loan forgiveness was done without standing as well. Oh, right. Yeah, we haven't even gotten to that. That's right. When the Supreme Court decided that all of you get to owe like $10,000 extra to the government for your loans based on nothing, based on ghosts. Well, they're the high priests. They're the only ones who can see the ghosts. Yeah, the closest thing that we have to a check on the Supreme Court is like an Andrew Jackson-esque, they have ruled, now let's see them enforce it kind of deal. They can be impeached even if it's unlikely. They're not going to be impeached. The Supreme Court, the high priests? Who would dare? Who would dare question the juju magic of the Supreme Court? What, and invite a hex upon your family? Well, who would do that? No. The black magic of the Supreme Court is without question. Nobody would dare impeach the court. I would do that. Yeah. Lincoln and FDR ignored them. Well, the most famous case of the Supreme Court being ignored was Andrew Jackson. Now, unfortunately, Andrew Jackson ignored the Supreme Court because he really wanted to kill lots of Native Americans. So that's not a good reason to ignore the court. That's when you should listen to the court, actually. But you should ignore the court in other instances. There are other times when you should ignore the court. I actually wonder what the Founding Fathers were thinking when they made justice a lifetime position. Well, first of all, when the Supreme Court was founded, judicial review wasn't a thing. That's not really like laid out in the Supreme Court. Everything the Supreme Court does that gives them power, they kind of like developed as a procedural like extrapolation from existing processes. Initially, the court had very little power. Additionally, it's important to understand that a lot of our founding fathers were basically just were not actually very democratic, landowning white males. Not actually the greatest pillars of democratic thought from our founding fathers. Some of them pretty okay. Thomas Paine, cool guy. So many such cases, blah, blah. But yeah, they probably read Plato's Republic unironically. True!